Hello everybody, and welcome to some more RPG horror story cringe with DnD Doge. In today's episode, we have a tale about a dungeon master that forces a player's character to die for narrative reasons. A story about a Catgirl that gets a little too close and personal, and much more. So, without further ado, let's get right into the cringe. My DM planned to kill me without telling me. By Reddit user MachineRough1052. This is a mix of a vent and advice post. I have just finished up a session where my character was killed to advance the story, without telling me. I was already kinda mad at him because we spent an entire session getting beat up. Well, that happens. I mean, you're bound to lose every now and then. In the end, he ended up just retconning us winning. But I put that behind me because the story was quite interesting. So, at the start of the session, he tells us that we need to kill this guy that is 3 to 4 weeks travel away. After a very boring hour or two of traveling, we get into combat with 2 young white dragons. There are like 7 players, so it takes a half an hour for one round. I cast some spells, and then one of the dragon flies up, and a fairy in our group goes up and attacks it. The dragon is knocked prone and falls on top of me. I get dealt 63 damage, and my max HP is 57. I rolled nothing. I couldn't roll for Dex because I couldn't see it. I couldn't roll Con because I don't know why. So, when my turn comes around and I roll my death saving throw, I'm told that I'm not supposed to because reasons. So, another half round goes by, and the dragons are defeated. Apparently, on my death saves, I had 2 failures and 2 successes, though I was never informed of this. So, I'm trapped under a dragon and near death, and then my DM says, "Alright, you need to hit a DC 17 saving throw, or your character dies." And I'm just like, what? So anyway, they fail, and I die. But thankfully, our wizard has Revivify, for some reason. So I'm saved. Huzzah. Well, nope. Some of the bigger bad guys show up and just straight up steal my soul. This was apparently all planned, and he killed me, the cleric, to further the story without so much as a, "Hey, I'm going to kill you." So now I can't be revived at all. So F me, I guess. I'm already planning on leaving, but I don't know if I'm overreacting or what. I guess this is more of a vent post, but what should I do? Yeah, I think OP is in the right to want to leave that game. Just the fact that the DM didn't even give OP any rolls to try and avoid the falling dragon is messed up. But then to take away the death saving throws, and then say that he needed to beat a 17 to not die is ridiculous. Then to find out that OP's character had no chance at all, and that the DM was just going to kill him no matter what to advance the plot is super scummy, especially considering he never mentioned it to OP. So OP spent time making a character just to have the DM kill him off with no real way of avoiding it. Yeah, OP, if you want my advice, just leave this mess of a game. No D&D is better than wasting your time with bad D&D. Let's move on. Got kicked out of a group due to my wife and son getting sick. By Reddit user LaserToss. This just happened. I exclusively play tabletop RPGs with in-real-life friends, family, or friends of friends. However, since everyone that I know is having scheduling issues as of late, and I haven't played in over 1 year, I decided to play with random people on the internet for the first time. I applied to a group on D&D Beyond, had the session 0 with the DM, filled a list of things that I considered okay to be displayed in game, etc., and created my character, and I was all ready for the first session. And I was really looking forward to it. Unfortunately, on the day of the first session, both my 2-year-old son and my wife woke up with a fever, diarrhea, vomiting, etc. So, in the morning, I sent the DM a message explaining what happened, letting them know that I might not be able to make the session, apologizing in advance due to that, and telling them that I will still be doing whatever I can in order to attend if possible. Skip ahead to about 1 hour before the session's supposed to start, and I actually managed to put my son to sleep, and my wife is feeling a bit better. I was feeling very good about that, and I went to write the DM that I would actually be able to show up. Imagine my surprise when I see that the DM never answered my message in the first place, and not only that, but blocked me on Discord, kicked me out of the game server, and of the Roll20 campaign. And it just left me wondering, is this type of behavior something to be expected when you are playing online, and did I do something wrong? Or was this DM just a particular brand of a-hole? Well, that certainly does suck to have that happen to OP on his first attempt to join an online game. Though, I would say that just the fact that the DM kicked you for having a sick son and wife just before your first game with them is a blessing in disguise. 1, that DM would likely have been a nightmare to play under, and 2, at least you didn't waste any more of your time with that game. So I'd say chin up and look for another group to join, as the DM will likely be miles better than that one. Let's move on. Mage Hand and the Group Controversy by Reddit user Woolly Shins. Playing some Eberron, and the newest member of our party was a silly boy who essentially wanted to play as Rivers Cuomo from Weezer. So I made his character sheet, and he just fell in line with the group, usually just asking people if they wanted to jam, and being a hippie about everything, which, come to think of it, isn't very Rivers Cuomo. A bit one note, but that's fine. He seemed to be having fun, so all is well. Then there was a random encounter. Some kids playing too close to the edge of a balcony. 1 or 2 of us tell the kids to stay away from the edge, but as we start to move on, Rivers Cuomo says, "I pushed one of them off with my mage hand," and starts cackling. He's a new player, and I find all new players either find a character to really dig into, or become a murder hobo, and it's interesting to watch that choice happen in real time. So the DM lets the kid fall, and all of our characters react accordingly, calling Rivers a child murderer. This is where the system breaks down, as none of us want to adventure with this man we barely know anymore. But in a meta way, we know we can't just kick him out or tell him to make a different character. So, what to do? So far, we all just harbor resentment towards his character, and bring it up to people that he murdered a kid for no reason, other than he thought it'd be funny. Now, the controversy is that every time he's used Mage Hand since, he describes it as the Mage Hand acting of its own accord. And when I realized this was his way of dodging child murder blame, I told him that, and he's absolutely doubled down in saying that it's not in his control. He's now very indignant about it, and insists that he didn't kill the kid in cold blood. We get into the same argument each session. Look, we're playing a game. None of this matters and the kid isn't real. But at the same time, if you want to be a chaotic murder hobo, own it. Make it part of your whole deal. Work with it. Your character doesn't need to be innocent, Rivers Cuomo. Let your choices matter to us, the world, and yourself. You killed that child because you thought it'd be funny. It would be much more interesting to play around that than just punt it away because you don't want people to hold you responsible. TLDR, Rivers Cuomo deliberately murdered a kid with Mage Hand, and now won't own up to it. Yeah, that was a pretty on-point murder hobo thing to do. Though, I would say take it easy on the dude. Like OP said, Rivers was a new player, and on the two-sided coin of getting into character or murder hoboing, he unfortunately chose the latter. It's obvious that the player really regrets that action, and that is a good sign. If I were the DM, I would just give the player a mulligan and retcon the Mage Hand event, then just tell the player to use that instance as a learning experience. Though, that would be my method. How about you guys? What would you do in the DM's shoes? Let's move on, but before we do, if you're enjoying the video, I have to ask that you roll a crit on that like button, and leave a comment to help appease the algorithm dragon. It may not seem like it, but it does go a long way to help out the channel. Plus, it makes Lucky really happy. But with that said, let's keep this cringe train a-rollin'. Kind of salty with my first experience playing. By Reddit user, Super Casual Gamer Dad. So, I have never played D&D before this. I am kind of a shy guy and tend to only open up to a select few. Anyways, this isn't really a deep story. I'm just bothered by it. A little over 3 weeks ago, I posted a looking for game post, explaining that I was new and looking for a friendly veteran DM or a group to play with that could help me learn the game in a friendly, non-aggressive setting. Well, someone invited me to chat, and we hit it off. He explained my post connected with him because he hates confrontation as well. I told him that my wife was curious about playing as well, and he told me to have her come and make a character too. Within a few days, we planned our first time with a few others, and it was really fun. I opened up and had a really good time. Some of the players were way more into the roleplay than we were, but overall, it was fun, and I did open up more than I thought I would. Before we knew it, the next session was upon us, and some things came up, and we asked if there was any way that we could skip one session. The DM himself said that he had the exact same issue, unexpected guests, and was curious if we could play earlier. And we explained that we pretty much had to leave ASAP, but we promised that it was not going to be a reoccurring thing, and would be back the following session. I apologized, and the DM said, "No worries, crap happens." While we were absent, I did check the Discord and see that they were sharing tons of personal pictures and seemed to be having a good time. Anyways, a week went by, and today, the day before the new session, me and my wife were talking about how excited we were to play again. But then, we both had this feeling. I said, "You know, they were talking a ton the week before last session, and we haven't heard anything this week." And then I jokingly said, "I hope they didn't kick us." We looked at Discord and realized they not only just kicked us from the Discord, but blocked us and blocked my Reddit account. We really haven't used Discord at all before we started playing. To top it off, my wife tried messaging him on Reddit and apologized that we were gone last week and were confused at why we just got blocked without explanation. But then he just blocked her there too. I can't help but think, as a fellow 30-plus-year-old, how immature that is. Like, you couldn't have used words and explained that maybe the campaign had got to a point where they just wanted to continue on without us. I would have rather that and just left the opportunity open to playing again sometime. I'm in shock that people were willing to just cut off people without a thought, just because it's easier than using words. It just bothers me. Then I look at this person's Reddit history, where he's giving advice to others on DMing, and it just chaps my ass. Like, you have horrible communication. You shouldn't be giving advice. My wife cracked a joke saying that that's what I get for asking to play with non-confrontational people. Instead of just speaking up, they block us. Yeah, that is a bit bitch-made for the DM to say that everything was okay when OP and his wife needed to miss a session, only to just then block them everywhere and ghost them. I mean, at least have the balls to tell them that they aren't welcome in the game anymore. I hope that this doesn't dissuade OP and his wife from trying to find another game, where the DM will actually communicate like an adult. This is a great hobby to learn, and to have one stupid DM to ruin that for them would really suck. Best of luck, OP. On to the next one. Furry derails my first D&D experience. By Reddit user, Captain of Doomsday. So, this happened during my first semester of high school. My high school had a huge class size, about 1,000 in my graduating class. I was young and very awkward around people. Around this time, I had taken a break from school-related sports and was wanting to have a fresh first semester. Now, the school had a ton of clubs, but the one that caught my curiosity was the D&D club. Now, I had heard of D&D before, and all the stereotypes, such as D&D is for nerds, geeks, etc. However, I was willing to give it a shot. I signed up and joined a group for a campaign with a friend of mine. In total, the group had 5 members: a cleric high elf, a rogue gnome, and I was a red dragonborn who was an alcoholic barbarian. There was also the druid. Now, the druid was an anthropomorphic cat. She was a very hyper girl who wore cat ears and a tail. Let's just call her the druid. I remember she was very insistent on her roleplay, and she said that it would help the few of us that were new. At the time, none of us cared. I mean, this was what I was curious about. So, the first session starts, and we are in a bar. My character went to get a drink, and the druid decided to rub up against random NPC's legs. The DM quickly shut that down, as she would act out how she did it. She started trying to pounce on player characters, or did as she called her cat urges, and I watched as she purred, hissed, and acted everything out. She had left my character relatively alone, most likely since I was lost for words and was watching this unfold. I swear she could smell my fear as she asked the DM if she could climb onto the head of my character and, quote, cuddle with my horns. For some reason, the DM allowed this. I managed to get a higher roll and threw her across the bar. She didn't like that, so she cast a spell. This spell summoned vines to pin the naughty Scaly, and I hate that my past self googled what a Scaly was, and I failed the DC check. She then said that her character would now, quote, cuddle and lick the Scaly. Then she got up to walk over to me to demonstrate what her character did. If it's not obvious, she had problems, and I legit fell out of my chair to get away. The DM stopped it and finally put his foot down and ended the session. After that, I refused to come back if she was in the party. The DM told me not to worry, but honestly, I only went back a few more times since she was still allowed to be in the group. Every time I saw her, I would legit move as far away as possible. I did eventually give D&D another chance since then, and I still play. However, the fear of meeting another player like her will haunt me every time I start a new session. Yeah, I agree, that is a bit odd. It's one thing for a player to have their character do something like that in-game, but for the player to walk to another player to act it out is another thing entirely. And I'm sure the fact that she wore cat ears and a tail made things all the more stranger. But maybe she just had a crush on OP or something, and thought that D&D was a good vessel to express that. Or maybe the fact that your character was a Dragonborn caused it. Either way, I can understand why this made OP a bit uncomfortable, but at least the DM did eventually stop it. It's good to hear that OP didn't drop D&D because of this, and I hear tale that if you listen closely, you can still hear a faint ooh-woo coming from your local anime store. But that will do it for today. As always, I appreciate all of you, and may your games remain horror story free. Until next time.